Alright, it's time for another devlog. I'm going to try to keep it short today because the less I say, the less I have to edit. So since the last video, I don't think the game has changed that much. I spent a lot of time in the summer just remaking old systems, trying to make them better, more optimized, more efficient, more flexible, scalable, you know. At this point, I'm just listing off big words. We're just trying to make everything better and more reliable. But I think the focus of today is going to be in the dialogue system because I am really proud of this. It looks so cool, I think. No, it does. So dialogue systems, most games got this. They are, about telling stories and I'm waffling. I guess fundamentally dialogues are about characters interacting with each other, not just the player, and they serve the purpose to kind of tell the player what to do, but also let them know about the world, storytelling, character development, and just general entertainment and engagement. And I think it's a tricky thing for a game to get right. In an ideal world, I think I would love to be able to do, nice cutscenes, nice dialogues with flashy effects, great voice acting, but let's be realistic. I'm a solo developer, so pretty much all of that is off the table. At the same time, I don't want to do something as boring as just two characters standing in front of each other talking with the text on the bottom. So this kind of left me in a weird place where I didn't really know what to do with the dialogue system, so I just kind of put it aside and didn't think about it too much until recently. So I've talked about it before, but comic books are such a big inspiration in the things I do, my art, my drawings, whatever, including this game too. Comic books take the fun of reading, which there's not a lot of, and eye candy and visual appealing images and everything, and combines them into this whole experience that just combines the best of both worlds. And with the text being kind of all over the place, I think it's a lot more engaging than just reading bottom text on the screen. So my mind was pretty much made up on getting some version of a comic book style dialogue system, cutscene system going on. Something that will allow me to do freeze frame animations and have a lot of flexibility, so I can do effects in the background, I can do text in different locations, and I can do nice cinematic shots and angles and all of that stuff. So I kind of had a mental picture of the end game, of the goal, but I didn't know how I was going to get there, which is a recurring theme of game dev. That's pretty much all it is. So I think early September I came across this game called Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and the game has a lot of characters, which is why I was interested in it in the first place. I'll never play the game because the combat is so goofy, but the game's got an interesting way of handling cutscenes and dialogues, frames all the characters together, and does this nice comic book effect. So I thought, yeah, let me try this. Seems pretty easy enough to implement, and it was just kind of having a widget component over the characters' heads and just making sure that it's framed right. I sent it out to some friends to see. I put it on my Discord as well, and yeah, I think people thought it was pretty good too. After a while, I felt like pretty good wasn't enough. I'm not the type to settle with pretty good. Actually, I might be gassing myself up, but basically it was good, but it wasn't the vision, so kept working on it. I also wanted something with like Persona vibes. I don't know if but something that was more dynamic and interesting. So it wasn't until like late September when I came across this game called Necro Barista. I don't know much about the game, but it seems to be an indie game. Basically, you're serving coffee to dead people. The point is, this game tells its story beautifully. It doesn't do full animation, it doesn't have complex character models, cutscenes, flashy effects or crazy voice acting, but it still manages to engage you in a story. And this is coming from a person who skips all dialogue in games. Even in Genshin Impact, I just skipped the dialogue. As soon as I came across that game, I was like, I have to implement this now. Sorry to say to the developers of Necro Barista, but I'm pretty much just stealing your flow bar for bar. But I do intend to add my own spin to it and adapt it to fit my game. But anyway, yeah, this is now the second version of the dialogue system. So the moving parts work by using the logic state machine, and basically you have these nodes. So I have one node for actually displaying the dialogue, then I have another node for changing the camera and changing the cuts, and then I have a node for facial expressions and animations. I think what I did to get the text to appear in different places was pretty cool. I basically divided the screen space into like left, right, middle, bottom, whatever, and then to get that kind of spaced out comic book effect, I can use an offset, so you can have two text nodes in the same place and making it feel natural like a comic book. And then now I'm actually using the morph targets I was talking about in an earlier video, the morph targets that was stressing me out like crazy, but here we go, we've actually implemented them. Anyway, I could add and expand on a lot more of this, but I think for now this is a great place to be at because it's definitely a step in the right direction. I mean, right now I do only have 2 characters in the game, so I'm not too focused on dialogue at the moment. Anyway, I just think this is really cool, so I'm looking forward to developing that some more. What a fucking nerd. I think if I manage to get a team somehow, we could actually pull off some really nice cutscenes and dialogues and all of that, because this was really easy to do. Anyway, let's talk about music. So back in July, I was actually in Wireless. I was in the middle of the crowd with Lil Uzi Vert, who was just like a meter away from me. I just feel like I have to say that. Anyway, this guy called Dara Mac reached out to me during that. Basically, he said that he wanted to help out with some of the tracks for the game, and I was like, of course. Like, I basically immediately sent him some samples, a playlist of the kind of vibe I want. A few days later, he sent me some samples and he absolutely killed it. Let me play some of them real quick. Like, these are just perfect. Make sure you check out Dara Mac's channel. From one struggling guitarist to actual guitarist, I have mad respect for that guy. Check out his YouTube or Instagram. Then I also have one of my closest friends. He's a producer, been working with him for a long time. He's basically forced to make tracks for my game. During the summer we were at the studio and he showed me the track he was working on. I kind of requested a My Hero type beat from him. When he pressed play, tears from everyone in the room, you know. It was like, the beat was just so, the beat made me want to surpass my limits. It made me want to go plus ultra. Beat makes me want to become a better man, you know. So shout out to TChef, you can find him on SoundCloud. Really appreciate you guys working on this. Lastly, I guess we could touch on combat for a bit because it's still not quite perfect yet, or at least it's not quite figured out yet. So in an attempt to make combat not repetitive or boring and to make heavy attacks actually useful, I've decided to implement a stun system. So I've got a stun meter set up for bosses, and when that's at 0, bosses will be stunned and they basically take more damage in that state. So you can decrease the stun meter by using heavy attacks, charged attacks, or using arts. I think that would make combat way more interesting, less repetitive, and yeah. Anyway, if you're still watching, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, and I've got my socials in the description if you want to keep up to date with the project, or if you just want to reach out to me or whatever. So yeah, hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.